Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. It's the beginning of fall here in Maine, so I decided today we're going to take a little walk, well, more than a little walk, but a walk up a nice mountain and try to get an aerial perspective of some of the foliage that's just starting to pop off. And we're kind of a little far north too, so hopefully we'll see some kind of neat birds, maybe like boreal chickadees or some things like that. But no matter what we see, it's a great day to be out in the woods, so let's see what we can find out in this wonderful forest. So I'm sorry to say that it has not been the most productive fall for bird photography for me so far. I've gone out a bunch of times, but just my timing must be off or something, so I just have not been able to see a whole lot and photograph it, really. There's been a couple cool sightings, but yeah, for the most part, it's been pretty slow. But at the very least, I got a few things, so check out what I have managed to get. One of the more memorable recent sightings was this wood duck. This is a juvenile male which doesn't yet have the bright red bill or eyes of the adult male. Wood ducks are normally very skittish, and I usually have a really hard time getting good images of them. But this one was very cooperative and relaxed and struck some really nice poses for me before eventually swimming off. Wood ducks are cavity nesters, and the females will lay their eggs up in a tree or in a nest box located near a body of water. The young are fully mobile and ready to leave the nest shortly after hatching, but since they're born with only fluffy down and no flight feathers, this means they have to leap out of the nest hole and fall with style before bouncing off the forest floor and heading off to the pond. One of the few warblers I've managed to photograph recently is this palm warbler in my backyard. Despite the tropical sounding name, they are actually one of the northernmost breeding warblers in all of North America. Double-crested cormorants are a pretty common sight in Maine, but this one let me get unusually close for a really nice portrait. The landscape photography front hasn't been a whole lot better because, with the exception of the last few days, it's been pretty clear for the most part for the last month. So I haven't really been out to get any good sunsets or sunrises or any of that kind of stuff. However, that does mean that it has been good for night sky photography. So I have been out for a bunch of Milky Way shoots, which has been a lot of fun because I just love being out at night. And I live close to Acadia National Park, which means I have access to a really dark sky spot, which is amazing. So check out a few of my night sky shots from the last month or so. And speaking of night skies, it seems like there's going to be another comet that's going to be visible at least in the dawn and sunset sky for the beginning part of October, which I'm really excited about. Oh, hello, red squirrel. These guys are not at all afraid. But anyways, now that my squirrel moment has passed, I'm looking forward to photographing that comet because I had a ton of fun photographing Comet Neowise back in 2020. So hopefully this comet puts on an equally good show. So one thing I've been trying to do a lot of the last few weeks is find the birds that we're going to have to say goodbye to pretty soon as they migrate out for the winter. So I've been going to salt marshes and things like that where a lot of shorebirds and things tend to congregate, and unfortunately have not really had much luck. I did see a flock of turkeys one time and a great blue heron, but other than that, not a whole lot. Usually, turkeys are residents of forests and meadows, but this group obviously decided that a little bit of seafood was on the menu for today. Great blue herons are another common sight in the intertidal zone along the coast of Maine. I was also fortunate enough to find 2 greater yellowlegs searching the mud for food as they fuel up for their great migration south. I also got some faraway looks at a snowy egret looking for food hidden amongst the rockweed as the tide receded. Another thing that's already taken off are the ruby-throated hummingbirds. I've had a bunch of those in my yard this year, but I was also able to find a few of them flying around in a little swampy area feeding on jewelweed. So that was a lot of fun to sit there and watch them, and I think I got some kind of cool clips of that. So take a look at a fun little afternoon spent watching some hummingbirds. Ruby-throated hummingbirds are the only species of hummingbird found in eastern North America. They beat their wings up to 52 times per second, which looks fast even in this footage, which has been slowed down to 25% of its original speed. Their metabolism is so fast that they need to eat almost constantly, and they will aggressively defend patches of flowers from other hummingbirds. At night, hummingbirds lower their heart rate and go into a kind of deep, sleep-like torpor, during which they reduce their metabolism by up to 95%. Even though they primarily feed on nectar, they will also catch and eat small insects and caterpillars, sometimes plucking them right out of spider webs, and occasionally eating the spiders as well. Their legs are so short that they can't walk or jump, but have to shuffle side to side when they're perched. The vibrant colors of their feathers are actually not pigments in the feathers themselves, but structures that act like prisms and bend and reflect light into the amazing hues that we can see when we look at them. Hummingbirds aren't the only thing I saw while hanging out at the swamp. Green frogs lurked in the water waiting for unlucky insects to venture close by. A Japanese beetle, hated by gardeners everywhere, stretched its legs on a nearby jewelweed. I saw a damselfly laying eggs in the water while another one looked on, munching on a mosquito. The vivid colors of this ruby meadowhawk dragonfly stood out quite nicely against the green grass. I also got to watch a flycatcher work its way around the swamp, hunting for insects from a variety of perches. Soon, these two will be heading south once it gets too cold for the insects on which they depend. My day at the swamp was finished off by watching a pileated woodpecker excavating the top of a dead tree, and then getting to see a little bumblebee crawling up another tree nearby. Well, sadly, there really hasn't been much in terms of bird sightings. I've heard a bunch of chickadees and red-breasted nuthatches and golden-crowned kinglets and things like that, but haven't really gotten any good looks at them, and yeah, haven't really seen anything other than that. So, hasn't been a great day for birds, but luckily, I'm in a spot with some awesome landscapes, so hopefully all of that makes up for the lack of birds. Well, after much huffing and puffing, I have found the views. This is ridiculous. I'd never been up this mountain before, so I didn't really know what to expect, and this has exceeded all of my expectations. And I'm noticing that as much as I thought the fall foliage was really starting, it must just be random little trees by the road and everything, because most of the stuff out here really isn't changing color yet. It's just about to, I think, but there's not a whole lot of color on the landscape yet. So I guess that's good news, because that means that the fall isn't early like I thought it was going to be, but I'm really looking forward to the next few weeks. Should be a good season. But it looks like we might be in luck for a good sunset tonight, so I'm gonna head back to one of the earlier viewpoints and set up my camera there and hope we get some really nice color. So that should be a good time. All right, well, unless something really unexpected happens with these clouds over here and lets some more light in, I think this is going to be the end of the video. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this little more landscape-centric video. I had a ton of fun hiking up here, even though there was a lot of huffing and puffing involved. Hopefully, I'll start seeing some more birds before they all take off for the winter. But in the meantime, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. And thank you all for getting me past my first YouTube milestone of 500 subscribers. If you're not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and the like button as well. And I will see you in the next video.